Hello, and welcome back to Spill the Ranch with yours truly, Noelle Cheney, where I talk all things food, school, influencer, and celebrity to keep you up to date on trends and news in the entertainment world, as well as food worthy of trying and enjoying. We have a very saucy episode today, and it actually will be different than our usual episodes. We won't be doing my usual segments. I am going to be out of town the week that this episode comes out, and so I'm filming it a week early, and so I thought I would just mix it up a little bit. However, if you are loving this podcast, Spill the Ranch, I would so appreciate it if you are a listener on Spotify, if you could give it a review, 5-star reviews, hopefully. But if you do enjoy it, please don't forget to give it a review, and that would really mean a lot to me. So thank you. So today we are going to be, it'll be a little bit of a shorter episode, but I'm going to be sharing and evaluating some crazy school/teaching stories. So I posted on my Instagram, and if you don't follow my personal Instagram or the Spill the Ranch Instagram, you should go follow both. My personal Instagram is Noelle Loves Sloths, and the Spill the Ranch podcast Instagram is Spill the Ranch. So definitely go follow both of those Instagrams because I post updates and different things that you can engage in for the podcast on both accounts. So when I do this again and you want your story shared, follow my Instagrams because that's where I will post those on my stories. So we're going to start with some crazy school and teaching stories. Most people go to school. Most people spend the first 18 years of their lives in school. And sometimes the first 22 years if you go to college. Some people choose after those 22 years to continue life in the classroom for the rest of their life, like me. When you become a teacher, you devote your life to being in the classroom. So it's crazy how much time we all spend in classrooms over the course of our lives. And so it's only natural that crazy things happen in those spaces, right? So I wanted to hear about, different stories that you guys had. And so I'm going to share some with you today. Here is the first one, and I thought it was kind of funny. So this person, it was their first year teaching kindergarten 19 years ago. They said that it was a great group, and there was one little fella that told the teacher that his mom was going to jail. Naturally, the teacher asked why. "She's going to jail for smoking," said the child. "Oh, okay." So the teacher said, "Smoking is a bad habit and not healthy, but it's not something that adults go to jail for." And the response from the child, "Oh yeah, it is when it's weed." This teacher said that they were speechless and that the student's mom was mortified. Mind you, she was a wonderful, respectful, church-going mom. She did not go to jail, and he grew up to be a high-profile D1 athlete. I will never forget that as long as I live, clearly. So that is such a strong start for these stories. So this story was 19 years ago. So let's see if I can do math here. 19 years ago would be like 2005. That's a very long time ago. And it's crazy how different, how times have really changed. And it's just so funny that like the things that kids bring to school with them, like the things that they see at home and the things that they say, I can just imagine like teaching kindergarten is probably such an adventure because I teach high schoolers and they definitely say out of pocket things, but I'm sure that little kids say like the craziest stuff. And it's like they say it so confidently, and they also half the time like don't even know what the things they're saying, what they even mean. Like this child clearly like they probably fully thought their mom was going to jail for doing something that, obviously, well, maybe back then, almost 20 years ago, I guess, would have been illegal in most states. But that is so funny. And I love to hear that the mom was obviously wonderful, respectful. And it is funny that the kid ended up becoming a high profile D1 athlete. And that really does go to show, like, us teachers, we really do, we want the best for our students, and we follow along on their journeys. Like the fact that this teacher knew, followed him up until he was in college. Like, we really do, like, I mean, maybe not keep tabs on our students. Maybe if you become close with the parents or whatever, you maybe are able to keep up more with the kids. But I love hearing about the students that I've had and all of the successes that they've had in their lives after I've taught them. And it's always a really special thing to, to be able to see our students become the successful people that we always hoped that they would be. And so, so that's a good one. Moving on to another one. This one comes from a student. This one time, it was my senior year of high school, and it was my last Christmas choir concert of the year. And we had to walk down the stair banister in the dark and sing. And I tripped and fell down the stairs. I lost my shoe. Luckily, a guy gave it back to me after the show. Okay, so as a fellow choir person, I myself was in choir. I spent lots of time on those choir not banister, what do you call them? When you're in choir, you stand on like a stage thing, and it's like multiple steps. I'm blanking right now. I can't think of what it is. It's gonna come to me later. But I've spent much time on that stage under those bright lights, feeling like you're gonna pass out sometimes from standing there for so long. And yeah, falling is definitely like maybe one of the worst things in the moment that could happen. But in hindsight, it's really not a big deal. It probably happens all the time. It's so easy to fall, especially if you're wearing like heeled shoes, while you're also having to wear like robes a lot of the time. And these robes are like full length and they go to the ground. So yeah, I can definitely sympathize with this. I don't think I ever fell, but I definitely had moments when I was like standing there, my legs locked, like worried that I was going to pass out. And it's definitely a scary thing when you're under those bright lights. It's hot, everyone's staring up at you. It can be really an intense, intimidating thing to be standing up on a stage like that and not feeling like you're going to be able to stay vertical, So wow. I hope that you were okay and that you didn't like hurt yourself at all, because that would be a drag. Excuse me. But yeah, that's definitely something I'm sure so many people can relate to, because it's definitely like probably a very common thing. All right, let's move on to our next crazy story. My sister-in-law is a school counselor at a high school, and she said a student brought a baby raccoon into school. First of all, cute. My first reaction, I'm obsessed with raccoons. I think they are so cute. I know that they're like not nice, but I just love the way they look, and I love that they have their little hands, and they're just like little burglars. They just like to go in and steal your trash. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I can't stand it. They are so cute. Although if I were to see one in the like late at night in my driveway, I would run the other direction and scream, and I'd be terrified. But yeah, that is so crazy. First of all, I have questions. Where did this is a high school student. Where did they get the raccoon? Like, did they just pick it off pick it up like out of a tree and like take it to school with them? I don't know. Did they keep it in their backpack? Like, did they carry it in for everybody to see, or was it hidden in their backpack? Like, I have so many questions, and I would also love to know like what happened to the raccoon, because like what'd they do with it? Did they just let it free in the woods, or did they make the student bring it back so that they could put it back in their yard so that the mama could find it? Like, so many questions. It's definitely unsanitary that the student brought it into school, so I guess that does concern me a little bit. Wow. I wish I could have been there for that. And baby raccoons are so cute, but probably not meant for school, unfortunately. So thank you to whoever submitted that. That's funny. It reminds me of a time when I was a senior in high school, and basically what we did was we did like a senior prank week. So there was like a different prank every day of the week that we did it. And we did several different pranks, but one of them, and it ended up being pretty successful, was one day we decided that it would be bring your dog to school day. So I did not participate because my parents would not let me bring my dog to school. However, a lot of people did bring their dogs, and so there were just like golden retrievers walking around the hallways. And obviously, like, as soon as an administrator, like an adult, saw, like, they had to bring their dogs home. But pretty harmless for the most part, like, of a prank. There was nothing like vandalized or ruined or anything like that. But I was sitting in math class and that day, and all of a sudden we hear a little woof coming from someone's backpack. And I wish I remembered who it was, but someone brought their tiny little dog and like put it in their backpack. And that was like honestly so funny. And I think the teacher said, okay, you got to go home, bring your dog home. But like, honestly, really impressive that student made it so far into the school day. I think it was like the second period of the day. So like they made it past like the first rush of students having to bring their dogs home, probably because their dog was small and could keep it in the backpack without being seen. I do feel a little bit bad for the dog, that the dog had to like hang out in the backpack all morning, but definitely impressive by the student, and I applaud you. If you are listening to this and you were in my high school class of 2015 at Minnetonka High School, then way to go. We're going to share one more crazy story, and then we're going to move on to the advice portion of the podcast. Here's the last one. A student threw a desk at me because I asked him to give me his agenda. Welcome to teaching. Yeah. I will never, like, I know this is supposed to be funny, but like I feel like it's never funny when students are like physically harming teachers or trying to do that. And, I don't know the story behind this student, and it's sad on both sides that the student felt like they had no other way to communicate other than throwing a chair. But it's also really unfortunate for the teacher because they were on the receiving end of the chair being thrown. And, I've been on the receiving end of some minor violence from students, and it's never a good feeling when students are like trying to inflict harm on you. And it's a really sad thing that a lot of teachers have to deal with. It's a lot of times it's not always, I don't want to say it's not the student's fault because it is sometimes they are choosing to, but sometimes students also don't have the the skills to communicate what they're feeling. And so a lot of special ed teachers typically, maybe deal with that a little bit more. And it's a hard situation. And I feel bad for everybody involved, for the students, for the parents, for the teachers. And at the end of the day, it comes down to teachers need more support so we can support these students with what they need, and we can help them communicate in nonviolent ways. And yeah, I didn't really mean for this to be so serious, but it is something that I think about a lot because I've been on the receiving end of it, and it's something that I wish we could fix as an education as a whole. So I'm so sorry that a student threw a desk at you. I hope that you had a good rest of your school year after that. Let's move on to questions. So this is a mix of questions about school and just about life in general. So I'm going to start with a question that has nothing to do with teaching. How do you overcome being insecure and comparing yourself to others? So I definitely struggle with both of these things. I think if you're on social media, it's really hard not to compare yourself to others. It's so easy to say, why do they have that and I don't? Or why do they look like that and I don't? Or they look so much better than me, or they're so much more talented than me. And sometimes I wish that we just didn't have social media, because when I was in high school, we had social media, but it was really limited. It wasn't like, I wasn't really comparing myself to others so much as I am now. And I wasn't really insecure about a whole lot when I was younger. And it wasn't really until TikTok that I started to become insecure, like truly. Because when you're on social media, you look at yourself all the time and you become very critical of yourself, the things you say, the way you say things, the way you look. And it's really easy to fall into that deep, dark space of feeling like you're not good enough and feeling insecure about yourself and the way you look. And my best advice for this is try to surround yourself. This is it just from my experience. Surround yourself with people who not only will build you up, but they're really good at building themselves up as well. And I am friends with so many confident women who really build themselves up. Like, they are so good at just loving themselves. And when you are around people who love themselves, that can teach you how to love yourself. But it does come from within too. I mean, you have to find things about yourself that you love and hang on to those things, because there are probably so many things, an infinite amount of things about yourself that you should love. And I know it's not easy, but even just finding one thing, maybe journaling every day where you write down one thing you love about yourself that day. And even if it's the same thing multiple days in a row, even if you can't come up with a new thing every day, then write down the same thing from the day before. Just doing those little things and kind of doing that work to rewire your brain, like to love yourself. Like, you only get one you. And because you only get one you, why not spend time loving it? Don't spend all this time hating yourself. This is the only you're going to have. You might as well love it, right? You might as well love your body, love yourself, love the things about you, love your personality. And I guess that's kind of all I can say for that in this moment. Just know that there are so many people out there who love you too. Let's move on to our next piece of advice. I think I'm only going to do 2 or 3 more because we are kind of running out of time. How do you find the balance between giving each child what they need and creating a bond with each child versus treating all your students equally and not playing favorites? Or do you have favorites? So I wouldn't say I don't have favorites. You're always going to have students who you connect with more. Whether it be because you just have similar interests or because maybe you see the student more often, maybe you coach them as well as teach them, or maybe they're in one of a club that you sponsor. So there are going to be students who you will know better than others, and that's just going to happen. But that doesn't mean that you favor them more than others. I would also like to bring in the idea of equity versus equality. So not all students need to have all of the same things. Some students have different needs than other students. And so I think it's important to remember that you don't need to treat students all equally. You need to treat them with equity. You need to give them what they need. I have some students who need to have tests read aloud to them, but not all students need that. And so if I were to have a student who asked me, well, why don't I get my test read aloud to me? And I would say, because you don't need that, but the student does. And building those boundaries at the beginning of the school year is really helpful. Building boundaries with your students, like even just telling them at the beginning of the school year, like, you all are different people. You all need different things from me. And so that's how I'm going to treat you. And I'm going to try to give you the things that you need individually. And if you tell them that at the beginning of the year, you build that boundary, I think that can really help with feeling like you're truly giving each student what they need. So that's my answer for that one. How to relax after a stressful school day. Here's what I would do. Go straight home, okay? Don't stop at the grocery store on your way home. Don't stop at the post office. If you want to work out, I guess workouts for some people, that's relaxing. For me, I would skip the exercise for the day. If you are really, really stressed, go home, change into your comfiest clothes, and get a glass of, wine, or it doesn't have to be wine. It could be an Olipop or a Dr. Pepper. So get your favorite drink you drink. Maybe it's water, maybe it's Dr. Pepper, maybe it's wine. You do you, boo. You're in your jammies. Get a cozy blanket. Pull up DoorDash or however you order food, and order your very favorite meal from wherever you want. Mine is usually from this Thai place in Kansas City. And order that. While you wait for it to order, enjoy your drink, turn on your favorite show, and just relax and sit there and rot. Maybe instead of watching TV, maybe that's not your thing, pull out your favorite book, or maybe pull up your laptop and play your New York Times games and just relax. And then eat your dinner, and then take a nice warm shower and go to bed. Like, that sounds like the perfect night. That's my perfect night to unwind after a stressful school day. For me, it's like food makes me happy. So it appears that my camera is dying. So we are going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate your support. And I will be seeing you guys next Wednesday. And I hope you have a saucy rest of your week. Love you guys. Bye.